Welcome to a new video. My name is Redseven and today I want to do a review of the podcast which took place yesterday and had DrLupo as the host, Klean, Nikita, Shroud and Worrun as guests. The guys talked about a lot of interesting things and I believe this podcast deserves a small summary, especially for those of you who don't have time to watch it entirely, or if you maybe have not seen it and want to hear the most important news. Right off the bat, I want to point out what Nikita is doing for the game and for the community, being out there in a lot of streams talking to people. We've seen him multiple times in Pestilly streams or podcasts, in FairTX's podcast which he was hosting on Battlestate channel. We've seen him here with Lupo. He was also on Klean streams multiple times. It's impressive how much he participates in streamers, podcasts and streams, and it's not something every game developer out there is willing to do, although lately we see gaming devs appearing more and more and being more transparent with their communities. See Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen as an example. It is without a doubt something we should respect and appreciate, and I thank him in the name of the community for this. I would have preferred a more official way, and I was a bit pissed at first when I saw some of the guys monopolizing with such an action or such actions, but I understand now that it's a lot easier to appear into someone's stream than organize everything on your own. I really hope he will show up on some other guy's stream as well, not so famous as these legends here, just to show appreciation for the whole community. Intro out of the way, let's get into it. The main topic of the stream was trying to deal with the pesky hatchlings, which are a still problem in the game, and improve the overall game and make it as hardcore and fun as possible. Regarding the hatchet runners, the guys were talking about the current methods of how the hatchlings behave on the maps, why there are hatchlings in the first place, how to counter them and somehow encourage players to play with some gear and use the things they have in the stash, use their scavs more if they are completely broke, and so on. An example that I found funny and mind-blowing at the same time, and it was Nikita mentioning this, is players putting the scav boxes in their kappa containers and grabbing every single piece of loot they could find and making money. This will be fixed, said Nikita, and in the future there will be weight and overweight limitations, speed and stamina limitations related to the weight of the character. These things are currently not working accordingly or properly, and the balance will be added there. Regarding this, Klean mentioned that in real life, if you have more gear on you and therefore you are heavier, well, then you should be having better recoil control due to the fact that you have more mass on you. Now, this is logical and kind of makes sense for me right now, and Nikita said that there will be buffs on ergonomics and tweaks here and there, but I don't have military experience and I have no idea if this is so or not. Does this idea make sense for you guys? One of Lupo's suggestions regarding hatchling was, how about adding some points to the gear that you are having on you? Let's say 5 points for the vest, 3 points for the backpack, 10 points for the armor and so on. So gear points, right? And if you have enough gear points, then the gamma unlocks and you can put things inside it. During the podcast, Nikita called for a vote several times to find out if people agree with disabling the addition of bartering items inside the container. The responses from the chat were 50-50, maybe more guys in favor of doing it, but if you think of casual players, then this feature will definitely not be pleasant. Nikita tried to explain how not realistic it is having a magic container that no one can access, and that the safe container ruins a lot of gameplay mechanics, but if you think of it, this is how the game started. The secure container is not our idea. The devs came out with it and now they realize that it's not that good. My 2 cents on this quickly: disabling the safe container entirely is not an option. The whole game system will have to change if this happens. Just think on what you will be doing with all the keys that you have on you. So the change needs to be done on reducing the amount of items you can put inside during the raids, not disabling the whole container idea or concept. To be fair, the guys were not talking about disabling the containers entirely, just how to reduce the amount of loot abusers and make the game more hardcore and at the same time fun and not frustrating. Nikita was also talking about attracting other type of players into EFT, players who come from other games different than our Tarkov, which is a thing that happens more and more often now with 0.12. You guys have also noticed that the player base has expanded more and more. You see, for example, a lot of PUBG players coming to EFT or other Battle Royale games. I hosted or have been hosted several times by Battle Royale players or streamers. Two examples here, Flamehopper and HeyZ. Very cool guys, but pretty new to the game. This type of players, said Nikita, need to understand that EFT is a different game and they need to adapt to it. On this topic, Shroud came in with a good argument talking about how important it is to have a certain tutorial for the newcomers. He also started the game late, well, later than Klean for example, and had to learn it the hard way. I really liked here how the streamers try to understand how the community feels and try to represent it as best as they could, putting themselves into the skin of the new player who has no idea about how the game works, what the goals of the game are, and how to extract, for example. The save container issue is something serious lately. Everyone is talking about it, and even Nikita said that things need to change here, so do expect changes very soon. Some examples with suggestions for the container changes that were brought were: enable it above level 20, the gear score I mentioned before, where you have to bring some items into the raid in order to be able to use the container. Let's say, as an example, bring a pistol in at least, or some equipment. Kind of like if you want to put things into your container, then bring some things into the raid. Disable the option to put in-raid items into containers, or disable putting barter items inside. Allow keys to be put into containers. Craft your own keys in the hideout by collecting different materials in order to avoid running for them on the maps and putting them inside the gamma. Randomize loot spawns so that a rare key can spawn in multiple or different locations. With this, it will make more sense going in the raid geared, because you never know where the key can spawn, and just play the game normally. Nikita mentioned that the hideout will be definitely expanded in the future. More rooms will be opened, sub-modules will be added to repair weapons, for example, when weapon durability will be correctly implemented, which is going to be pretty soon, he says. The other issue that is pretty common right now is the flea market being exploited by guys with macros, scripts, and by bots. You are unable to buy something at a reasonable price because people with scripts buy the things extremely fast and sell them to higher prices. Nikita said that this is under investigation. A simple CAPTCHA feature could partially or totally solve the problem. A CAPTCHA will not be necessary every time you buy things, but a system will be checking from time to time for repetitive and very similar behaviors in order to catch scripts and bots who are exploiting the flea market. The topic hackers has been touched in the podcast, and the streamers congratulated Nikita for the good collaboration with BattleEye. Personally, I have not seen hackers lately, but there can be some. There are definitely less cheaters right now. Regarding cheaters, the guys asked for a way to get your things back from the raid if you get killed by a confirmed hacker. CS has apparently something similar. For example, if you die by a hacker and that guy gets banned, then you will probably receive some compensation or your items back. It's a good idea, Nikita said. It requires some work. We will see. A very good idea regarding the flea market was brought by Klean, progression with the flea market. In my opinion, this is a great idea because what currently happens is as soon as people get past level 5, then the hell gets loose. You see Saliwas for 100,000, morphines for 50,000, and the level of abusing the flea market is insane. The idea of having a certain progression with the flea market is not bad. In my opinion, the game sped up a lot with the addition of the flea market. I remember myself doing 2 weeks raids on customs together with friends just to find the factory key. Now the game has changed, of course, and you have to adapt to it, but I still miss those times where stuff was harder to get. Now, with a click and some money, you get everything that you need, and it's a good thing for sure for the guys who do not have all day to play. But it's also a bad thing because with the flea market, you get to the end of the game in less than 2 weeks. Nikita tries to slow down progression, but what he needs to do, in my opinion, is limiting the access to the flea market or make the access more intelligent, and abusing it not that easy. So Klean's idea of progression at the flea market is good, having only access with barter items at the beginning and then opening other possibilities once you did enough bartering is not bad. At level 2, or once you reach level 2, then you get better reputation, and trading with currency is now possible. Level 3 gives you then more options at the flea market, and so on. Nikita's response to this was the lack of control with spawning items. Economy based on depletion is what he said. It's something DayZ has, if I remember. Currently in EFT, items spawn indefinitely, which is a bad thing because it's very easy to be exploited. I remember in DayZ the devs were talking about only a certain amount of SVD spawning at the same time. If that number has been reached, no more SVDs will spawn until one disappears. Live economy. Regarding new players, Nikita confirmed the addition of a tutorial which aims to introduce newcomers to the world of EFT and to teach them the basics, how to move, how to run, crouch, loot, equip things, extract, and so on. Definitely not bad. It's similar to what Squad has, a basic follow along tutorial, or do this, move there, try that thing, and so on. It's needed for sure. Talking about other topics, Worrun mentioned the OP, the overpowered M61 Viper Hunters, and asked if the Viper could have a less powerful type of ammo to avoid the frustration of getting wrecked by 2 shots. He intelligently suggested not to switch from M61 to M80 because M80 is also very powerful, so Nikita said that FMJ is going to be added for the 308 caliber. Worrun also mentioned the irregularities between the recoil of the Viper Hunter and the M1A, and the Viper Hunter being put in the assault rifle skill having almost zero recoil in comparison with the M1A I mentioned before, and also the issues or differences between ASVAL and VSS, which are very similar weapons but are also put in different categories, and because of one skill they have big recoil differences. Very interesting things which I have never spotted before. Nikita wrote the info down and said he will be having a look at these issues as well. Very good feedback from Worrun there. He also mentioned the OKP7 and other optics being zeroed by default at 100 meters and having to aim lower to hit on spot. Nikita wrote the info down here as well. Talking about the future plans, Nikita said that Streets of Tarkov is the next big map that is planned, a map which is going to be even bigger when it comes to looting areas, buildings, and more. The devs want to add intermediate locations so that you can move from a map to another. For example, extract with the train from reserve and stop on interchange, and from there move to the extraction. The addition of labs into Streets of Tarkov, the increasing of the raid time, the addition of player rotation on maps, the expansion of customs, connecting the old gas station with the tank area close to the welcome to the Tarkov truck. The addition of more extractions on maps, like for example the flare extraction that has not been added yet, and more interchange extractions. The addition of ways to extract your loot with vehicles so that you can stay inside and continue the raids. There will be more locations on reserve. One of them is going to be a new bunker area. There will be added more points for rare loot, more randomized, and more spawning of loot on different areas. Nikita also wants to add storyline quests, but these ones are planned for a more distant future because they are not easy to implement. It's going to be more of a single player experience in a multiplayer universe. It's something unique, and Nikita said this is not easy to be implemented. An eventual co-op mode here will be possible. These missions will reveal more info on who are the scavs, what's the thing with Usex and bears, and reveal more info about Tarkov. Nikita also wants to add customizable armored rigs, add variations to them, add the possibility to save them as presets with side armor and main armor and more. So here there will be standard armored rigs for easy and fast use, and also more advanced ones for the fans who want to customize them and use them. He also talked about the implementation of weapon jam mechanics, malfunctions, durability for silencers and weapon mods, overheating and more. Shroud asked here if these ones are going to be based on RNG, which could be very annoying. No one wants to have their weapon start jamming in the middle of the fight, right? And Nikita said that if you take care of your weapon, you will not experience such things. It shouldn't happen if you treat your weapon with care. There will be cleaning and repairing in the hideout, which will guarantee the correct functionality of your weapon. But keep in mind that ammo can also fail and mags as well. Also, the more you overheat your weapon by using auto fire mode, the more chances you will have that the weapon will jam. So encouraging single fire is a cool thing here. You will also have to be careful with what weapon to pick from the ground. It has a lot of implications. This mechanic will definitely piss a lot of people if it's not implemented correctly. Let's pray for the best. Talking about audio, both Lupo and Shroud mentioned the bad quality of the audio system in the game. Nikita said that audio has been fixed on interchange, but it could be still bugged, but the addition of Steam Audio could be the solution to fixing audio. Steam Audio and Voice over IP, VoIP, are planned for the next major patch. The Compass also is planned for the next one. Nikita wants to avoid too much time between patches and wants to add the patch as soon as possible. At the end of the podcast, Worrun and the guys came with some more good questions and suggestions. The sound in the hideout and the alarm on reserve being too loud, the sensitivity difference between 1x and 6x at some of the scopes, a bug with the laser recoil control, the sound of the raiders being bugged on reserve, and sound issues on customs when a player is above or below you and you get the feedback that he is directly in front of you or very close to you. Shoreline extraction flares being bugged, the flashlight blinding effect not working, a suggestion of immediately reloading the mag after checking it instead of checking it, putting it back into the vest and then pressing reload one more time to actually reload it, switching the pistol faster, switching the weapons faster if you double tap the weapon key, for example, equip the pistol faster if you double tap one. We finally found out what the accuracy stat stands for in the game. Listen to what it is from the mouth of the guys.
What does the accuracy stat mean in the game? Like, I've just been wondering it for a long time. Like, is it accuracy regarding point fire? Because I don't think it's regarding, like, when you're aiming down the sights.
Это, короче, угол по факту. Это угол. Angular minutes.
Oh, you're talking about MOE, shots on target? Like the accuracy at which the shots will hit the same spot?
It's an angular characteristic, actual angular characteristic of your accuracy.
Okay, so the higher it is, the wider the angle is away from where you're aiming that a bullet could potentially go. So it's, okay, cool. So like I'm looking
deviation?
I'm looking at an ADAR right now that has 0.061. So that's how many degrees off of perfect aim.
Basically where you're aiming, where it can like deviate.
The cone that comes out from the
it's like a small cone of fire.
Okay, I see.
Some of the flash hiders not hiding the flash, the issue with some of the meds doing the whole animation even if you cancel the healing process, which could be a very important thing in a firefight. A good solution here would be accelerating the animation if cancelled. The problem with fog inside buildings, which is not realistic but also not easy to fix according to Nikita. And that's about it. I reviewed almost everything for you guys. Overall, guys, very important input from the streamers. These guys are professionals and I definitely saw that with their serious and on-point questions. Without a doubt, one of the most professional podcasts that I have ever seen with Nikita as a guest of honor. I had to rewatch the podcast in order to not talk out of my bum, but it was definitely worth it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it informative. A link to the whole podcast will be in the description. Thank you very much for watching or listening. Sub to the channel because it's free and share the video if you want to. See you on Twitch starting at 9:30 CET time. Like the video if you enjoyed it or found it useful, and sub to stay up to date with my content. Come and visit me on Twitch when you have the time, and why not join our Discord if you are looking for help or for a teammate. Stay safe in Tarkov and take some breaks from time to time, and try not to ignore real life, as it is very important. Redseven out. Peace.